In Psalm Magic, we have a collection of psalms called the Contractual Psalms. Psalm 23, 24, 27, 46, and 91. While it's true that any psalm can be used for any kind of spell, these 5 contractual psalms are the epitome of that understanding. They are very easy to use for whatever ails you. Of those 5, Psalm 23 is the master key. Psalm 23 is the master key to the entire book of Psalms. It's a short 6-verse psalm. It's one of the easiest in the book to memorize and can be used anytime, anywhere, for any purpose with amazing results. And I'm going to give you one 7-day spell later on in the lecture. I want to just go through the psalm a little bit to show you some ways that you can understand it that may be a bit different than what you might have learned in church. Because remember, when we work psalms, we work them magically, not religiously. So what we're looking for is magical formulae that exist within the psalm. And those seeds of magic get deposited deeply in the mind when we work the psalms in the right way. Those little seeds become huge results in our lives. The opening of the psalm is, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." One of the reasons why I use the authorized King James Version of the Bible when I work psalms is because there are some conventions within the King James Version of the Bible that are extremely consistent. One of those conventions is shall versus will. In the Psalms, usually, not 100% of the time, but usually, when the word shall is used, shall represents a divine principle or law, whereas the word will represents a personal commitment. In this particular psalm, anytime the word shall is used, this is what the infinite is doing for us. And when the word will is used, this is what we're doing in order to activate the principle. You can think of it like all of the shalls represent a machine that is there for our use. And the will is the button that we have to press to get the machine to work. So the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. It is the infinite's will that you lack for nothing. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Green pastures and still waters represent luxury, peace, refinement, and all good. You want for nothing. He restoreth my soul. Remember, in Psalm Magic, the word soul doesn't represent the same thing that we think of as soul. In the Psalms, the word soul represents our deep mind, our subconscious mind. He restoreth my subconscious mind. Isn't that nice? Because remember, the deep mind is what's responsible for all of the manifestations in our lives. The deep mind is the dark room where all of the photographs are developed, the underground where the seeds germinate. The deep mind is responsible for projecting images onto the screen of space. So all of the events that we experience are a product of a projection of our deep mind. And we're saying that the infinite, the power of all good, the source of our being, you can imagine yourself as being like a beam of light emanating from a star. The star is the Lord here, the infinite, and the beam is us. So yes, we are connected, but we are not the source of ourselves. We are an effect. But this source, this star, this all-loving, all-powerful force is restoring our deep mind so that we only experience perfection in our lives. That's what it's capable of doing. But remember, we have free will, and we have to allow for this to happen. And that's easier said than done because we are so habituated to projecting negative things onto the screen of space because we've been trained to do it since we've left the womb. The infinite is restoring your deep mind. It has the ability and willingness to do that if we allow it to happen. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. The name of something in the Psalms means its nature. And we have many lectures on the nature of the infinite or the qualities of the infinite, but I'll just run through them very quickly. There's the There's the quality called life, the principle of life itself. There's the principle of soul itself. Like we said, you're an extension of perfection. That's your soul. There's the principle of spirit, that which cannot be destroyed, and that's who you truly are. You're not a body, you're a spirit, and you are eternal. There is the principle of intelligence. You are of the same intelligence as every other life form. So the intelligence that causes the planets to revolve around the sun and babies to come out of embryos is the same intelligence that guides you and that can help you and do for you and is the source of your being. Then there's truth. There's only truth and falseness. There's no gray area in the infinite. It's either true or it's not true. But we have the freedom to project images onto the screen of space that aren't true. That's our right to do that. And many of us don't know that that's what we're doing. And that's why we live in such misery all the time, is because we as a species are habituated to projecting untruths onto the screen of space. Well, the infinite can heal that when we allow it to happen by allowing truth to replace the falseness in our lives. Love is a quality of spirit. So that's one of the names of God. Love is the essence out of which you are created. You are created as an extension of love itself. There's also the quality called law. There are laws of the infinite. We go through many of these laws in these lectures. The law of cause and effect and all the Hermetic laws, etc. That's a quality of the infinite. That's a divine quality, law, divine law. And then there's presence. The presence of the infinite itself is a quality of the infinite. So those are a few of the names of God. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. All of those qualities are leading you on. And the paths of righteousness are making good choices, making right decisions, learning how to be in your right mind, learning how to ask to be guided rather than just regurgitating habitually all of the negative stuff that you have been programmed with by just living in this world. You have the option to be led in the paths of righteousness, all of the paths that bring you happiness and joy and prosperity and health and everything good. And those are based on the qualities of the infinite for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Even in the midst of the darkest, scariest things that you're going through, you can be helped. And you don't have to worry about them because you're recognizing those are just shadows. Those are just projections from my deep mind based on erroneous thinking. And the infinite's changing that for me because the infinite is going to substitute truth for those illusions. Why? Because I'm allowing it. I'm using my power of choice to force you into something is a type of attack. And that's never going to happen. You're never going to get attacked by the powers of the infinite. So your choice is the boss. And once you choose to allow the infinite to do these things, it will happen, even in the midst of the valley of the shadow of death. The valley of the shadow of death is what this world is based on the fact that it's been co-opted by the ego mind of everybody that lives here. We're all just casting images of despair onto the screen of space and trying to make the best of it. And that's the valley of the shadow of death. It says, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Once you recognize that the infinite's always with you, you realize there's nothing to fear because these things are merely projections and you can project something else. The infinite can show you how to project truth onto the screen of space instead of projecting all of the illusions. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. The rod and the staff obviously are symbols of the shepherd that is part of this psalm, but the rod and the staff that comfort means the guiding force of the infinite through comfort. You know you're being guided by the infinite as you feel relief, as you feel comfort, as you feel better and better and better. That's a sign to you that the infinite's actually leading you. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies, reiterating that you don't have to wait till you're all perfect at everything before your magic works for you. Preparing a table is the act of hospitality. And so the infinite is being hospitable to you and is bringing you everything that you could possibly need right in the midst of the worst of it. The presence of your enemies can be poverty, your enemies can be disease, your enemies can be arguments, your enemies can be fear, whatever isn't working in your life. The infinite can prepare a table for you, be hospitable to you, and give you every good thing right here, right now. No waiting. You don't have to become, quote, better in order to deserve it. You don't receive the blessings of the infinite because of anything you did. You receive the blessings of the infinite because of who you are. And you can't change who you are no matter how hard you try. And you do try. We all do. We all try to prove that we're not good enough. We all try to prove that we're bad. We all try to prove that we're weak. We all try to prove that we're all these things that we're not. But the infinite's not snowed by us. The infinite knows who we are better than we know who we are ourselves, because the infinite is our creator. And so the infinite's going to continue to be there helping us to the degree that we're willing to receive that help and ask for that help. Because remember, we have free will. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. The infinite is taking care of every need. And the cup running over is a reminder that it's not just enough to get by. That's not the infinite's will for you, is just enough to get by. The infinite's going to pour oil on your head to remind you how holy and sacred you are. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We're going to go back through one more time with the shall and the will, but look at this one. They have them both here. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. This is the law. There's no negotiating here. This is the will of the infinite for you. This is the machine. But you have to push the button. And the button for you is dwelling in the house of the Lord forever. People that are very religious think that the infinite's going to allow us to dwell in the house of the Lord, that that's what this means. But this is not what it means. It's saying that you will do this. It's to the degree that you are willing to dwell in the house of the Lord, and remember, forever means right now, that you will be given all of the gifts that you need. So it's your choice to dwell in the house of the Lord, not the infinite's choice. How do you dwell in the house of the Lord? By placing your mind on the infinite, by placing your mind on the infinite. What you give your attention to is what you receive in kind. So as you put your attention on dwelling in the house of the Lord, which means inner peace, which means certainty, which means knowing that you're provided for, listening and being guided at all times by this superconscious mind, when you are allowing yourself to keep your mind on that, you are pressing the button on that machine so that goodness and mercy follows you all the time. Mercy means everything that you could possibly need. Mercy doesn't mean, oh, I'll have mercy on you and stop hurting you so much. That's not what mercy means in psalm magic. Mercy means the solving of any problem, the fulfilling of any righteous desire of your heart. So all that you need, all good, overflowing good, follows you all the time. And your job is to keep your mind focused on the source. And that's how you do that. There's only 2 shalls and 2 wills in this psalm. I will fear no evil. That's your job. You can't ask that the infinite take the fear away from you. You have to choose not to fear evil. You're going to not fear anything because you understand that the infinite's with you. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. That's why I will fear no evil. And then the other one is I will dwell in the house of the Lord. Both of those things are your job. What's the infinite's job is that you not want. I shall not want. That's the infinite's job, is to make sure you have everything you need, everything you desire and require. And remember, it's to overflowing. There's no stinginess here. It's abundance. That's the infinite's job. And that abundance and that prosperity follows you all the time, not just on special days, not when you're good enough, not when you did the right kind of spell, all the time, no matter what. So shall and will are very important things to understand when you're working psalm magic, when you're operating out of the King James Version. Let's look at this 7-day spell. You either need to memorize this, Psalm 23, or keep a version of it with you, either on your smartphone or on a piece of paper. And for 7 straight days, you are going to start the day and end the day with reciting the psalm. You don't have to sit and think about it. Once a day, it's a good idea to meditate on the meanings of the psalm. But other than that, every other time that you are working with the psalm during the day, during the 7 days, you just have to recite it. It can be really perfunctory. You can just rattle it off if you want. It doesn't matter. So you're going to start the day and you're going to end the day with a recitation of it. And then you want to the best of your ability, and do not worry if you miss it. It doesn't ruin the spell if you don't get it right. Do your best once every hour that you are awake, recite the psalm. Every single hour you're awake, you recite the psalm. Like I said, it can just be rattling it off real fast. It does not need to be heartfelt or anything. Once an hour, you recite the psalm for 7 straight days. In addition to once an hour reciting the psalm, anytime you notice yourself having fear, apprehension, guilt, any negative emotion, any negative circumstance whatsoever, rattle off that psalm in your mind. So if you're in the middle of a meeting, you can do it mentally and notice that it can take away those emotions in the moment. I call this the 23rd key. I've heard people say, I felt so omnipotent, like I could do anything. Nothing was too big of a problem for me. I just did this and it worked. And it's true. It really does work. And so I want you to do it. I want you to take 7 days and work this 23rd key. And again, have a copy of the 23rd Psalm with you, or you just commit it to memory, or both. You start your day and end your day with a recitation of it, and you do your best to once an hour recite the psalm. I just set an alarm on my phone. If you miss, don't worry about it. It doesn't ruin it. On top of that, anytime you are feeling a sense of discomfort of any type, just use that as a cue to rattle off Psalm 23 and vaporize it. It's a good idea, if you can, at the end of the day, to meditate a bit on the meanings of the psalm. But just doing the recitation of the psalm once an hour, and then once in the morning and once at night, plus any time that you are experiencing discomfort, is enough. Notice what happens. Notice what happens. Just take a clear and honest look at your life after that 7 days is over and see if you haven't overcome some pretty amazing hurdles. And you can repeat this as much as you want, but just if you only keep it as a 7-day spell, that is enough for you to really notice the power of this master key to psalm magic, Psalm 23. It's amazing stuff. In the comments, let me know how it works for you. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I so appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.